You know that old saying, you are what you eat? We've all heard it a million times, right? Usually, we're thinking about our physical health, our bodies, our energy. But what if it goes deeper? Like, way deeper? What if what's on your plate could actually influence your sense of purpose, your day-to-day happiness, and how you feel about your life overall? Well, today, we're going to dig into some really fascinating new research that asks that exact question. So let's just get right to it. Food is fuel. We get it. It powers our muscles, keeps us going. But can it fuel our happiness? Can it literally make us feel better about our lives? That is the big question at the heart of a brand new study we're going to break down in this explainer. So we're looking at a study that just came out in the British Journal of Health Psychology. And what's so cool about this one is that most of the time, research is focused on how diet can help with negative stuff, like depression or anxiety. This study kind of flicks the script. It asks, can the right foods actually promote positive well-being? Can they help us flourish? Okay, but before we jump into the findings, we gotta ask, what does well-being even mean? I mean, that's a pretty broad term, isn't it? To do this right, the scientists had to get super specific. So they broke it down into 3 distinct, measurable areas. First up, you've got this thing called eudemonic well-being. Now, this isn't just about feeling cheerful in the moment. This is the deep stuff. It's about feeling like your life has purpose, that it has meaning, and that you have strong, positive relationships. You can kind of think of it as your sense of direction, well-being. Then there's affective well-being. This one's probably a little closer to what you were thinking of. It's pretty straightforward. It's all about how often you experience positive emotions. Things like happiness, joy, contentment, basically, all the good feels. And finally, number 3 is evaluative well-being. This is the big picture, the 30,000-foot view. It's when you step back and ask yourself, okay, all things considered, how satisfied am I with my life as a whole? That overall judgment, that's what this one measures. All right, so we've got our 3 types of well-being down: purpose, happiness, and life satisfaction. Now for the juicy part. Let's look at what this study actually found. How did specific foods link up with these different areas of our mental state? Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Look how specific these connections are. For fruits and vegetables, the strongest link by far was with eudemonic well-being, that feeling of purpose. But then you look at fish, and its strongest connection was with affective well-being, our day-to-day happiness. And what about those healthy fats, the PUFAs? Well, there was a little hint of a link to purpose at first, but it totally disappeared after the scientists adjusted for other factors. So this really suggests that different foods could play very different roles in our well-being. And honestly, the lead author of the study, Pepper Theora-Ott, just summed it up perfectly. They said, different types of food are differentially associated with well-being. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's much more nuanced than that. So who were the people in this study anyway? Well, the data came from over 3,000 middle-aged and older adults in England. And here's a really crucial piece of context. On average, this group was only eating about 2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And get this, more than half of them said they didn't eat fish at all. Just keep those numbers in the back of your mind because they're going to be important in a minute. Okay, this next part might be the single most important thing to understand about this kind of research. We've seen these interesting links, but now we have to do a reality check and talk about a giant rule in science. Correlation does not equal causation. So let's think about this. It's the classic chicken or the egg question. The study found a link, a correlation, between eating fish and being happier. But it can't tell us why. So did eating fish cause those people to be happier? Or is it just as likely that people who are already happier, maybe they have a bit more energy or motivation, simply choose to eat healthier foods, like fish? The study can't prove it one way or the other. It only shows us that the connection is there. And to their credit, the researchers were super upfront about the study's other limitations too. For one, people had to report their own diet, and they only did it for 2 days, which isn't a whole lot of data. Also, the participants were mostly white, so we don't know for sure if these same results would apply to more diverse groups. And remember how little fish and healthy fats they were eating? That low intake could have actually made it harder to spot a real effect. So, with all that said, the findings, the reality checks, the science-y talk, what's the bottom line? What's the big takeaway that we can actually use in our own lives? Here it is. The big takeaway is not that eating a piece of salmon is some kind of magic happiness pill. The real point here is that our diet is a modifiable factor. It's something we have control over, something we can change. And this study adds to a growing pile of evidence suggesting that it may play a real role in our psychological well-being, right alongside other biggies like exercise, sleep, and our social lives. And let's go back to the lead author one more time because they put it so well. Since diet is modifiable, increasing the intake of healthy foods may play a promotive and a preventative role in supporting psychological well-being. I love those words, promotive and preventative. It's not just about fixing problems, it's about building a stronger foundation for our minds. And that brings us right back to where we started. The Bien Rao concludes that, yeah, you are what you eat does hold. What we consume can be helpful or harmful to our physical and mental health. The science is finally catching up to that old wisdom, and it's adding some pretty amazing new details. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Next time you're thinking about what to eat, it's not just about fueling your body. It could also be a conscious choice for your mind. So if your next meal could be a choice for your well-being, what would you put on your plate?